Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of DVNC Casting. I am DVNC Shadow Prophecy, today coming at you live, just myself. So today we have a matchup between a Nova Grappler Victor player and a Granblue Night Rose player. So we'll see how the game goes. At the moment, players are just shuffling up and getting ready, so we'll give them as much time as they need to get that one going. Looking at the mulligans, Nova Grappler is taking 1, and Night Rose player is taking 2. Good to see from both players that hopefully they'll be able to ride through the grades, having only taken 1 and 2, respectively. As we see players shuffling up, matchup is quite interesting. If the Nova Grappler player is able to rush down the Night Rose player before they actually hit their Generation Break 2 skills, then the game is actually quite favoured to the Nova Grappler, but once the game shifts into that sort of later game, it is favoured more towards the Night Rose player. See our Night Rose player going first, deciding to ride the Water Spout Djinn, moving Grenache back. Nova Grappler starts their turn by drawing. Riding Malyaki, and attacking for 7k. No guard is declared, and a stand trigger is checked, and a heal trigger for the Granblue. Passing the turn, standing and drawing. Deciding again what he wants to ride. Does look like the Negro Lazy. Calls Grenache forward, calls a Bale behind, and then calls a Maltreat, I believe. Needs a trigger to pass. No trigger. And 12 to 12 will be a 5k guard. No guard declared, and another critical trigger. See a lot of triggers on the Nova Grappler's side so far. He's checked 3. Attacks for 13. No guard declared. A Malyaki, or Sazanda, I believe, sorry. Standing and drawing. Rides Night Rose, calls the critical trigger. Attacks for 13. Ooh, Server Temper. Very, very key card. Goes up to 16 with the critical trigger and draws a card. No guard, so King Serpent and a heal trigger. And a perfect guard, the damage trigger check. Attack for 17 is 10 guarded, and the turn is passed. And this is basically where we need to see the Nova Grappler put on a hell of a turn and push the the Night Rose player into as much damage as they possibly can. Otherwise, it will be a little bit interesting to see how the game progresses. Calls a Victor, calls another Victor, and a Sazanda, or Malyaki, I believe. So 5k guard is given. 16k attack. We're actually going to see some really nice combos from our Nova Grappler player here. Critical trigger is the damage trigger check, so able to put a little bit of a blunting on the attacks. We see our Night Rose player just wanting to read the card. Realizing that his opponent is at GB2 because of his stride. It's actually a really good first stride for the Nova Grappler player. Just designating power, giving 2k from the GB2. Using Malyaki's skill, targeting the Victor to give 4000 power. 26k, that's 15. That's too much for the Night Rose player. Decides not to guard. Attacks for 36, using his on-stride skill to restand his rear guard. Giving it another 2k, I believe. Yep, 5k off the stride skill and 2k off of its own effect. $38,000 attack, and we see a G guard. So milling the top 2 to get an extra 5k, not 15k. That shield would be insane. So 36 to 38 at the moment. Another 10k, so 2 to pass. Let's see how the Nova Grappler player goes. Here's a Dan Shark, the second check, a Malyaki, and the third is no triggers. Not good. Not very good at all. Decides to take the damage up to 5. And because of the no triggers, I believe the Nova Grappler player has 4 cards in hand at the moment. And this will be quite hard to guard depending on what our Night Rose player decides to go into. Hasn't had a lot of early soul, so an early Goash may not be the way to go. Ooh, straight into the Dragoot. Just deciding what he wants to do here. Using the on-stride skill. Calling a King Serpent. Activating. Soul Charged a heal trigger, I believe. Sorry if you guys can hear that, it's just a car alarm going off in the street. Doesn't look like you can, or it's very faint in the background. Basically just explaining the Granblue effects. Counterblasting 2, discarding a card from hand. Discarding a Tommy. Designates up to 3 rearguards, as he has 3 rearguards. Goes Grenache. And the critical trigger. So 2 hollow units means that he can retire 2 units of the Nova Grappler player. Just want to check the wording on Dragoot. Just make sure that it's actually the amount of hollowed units, not units at hollow. For each unit with the hollow ability, so that is correct. Their units do not have to be hollow, they just have to have the hollow effect. Using Rampage Shade to bolster the hand. No guard is declared, a Skeleton Cannoneer, a Waterspout Djinn, and a Stand Trigger. So standing the Maltreat Shade, giving it a bit more power. Looks like it's 16 by itself. It is. So 10k guard. And attacks for 17, and that is the game. And a good game it was. Quick, fast, and furious, as it normally is with a Nova Grappler deck. They are a very, very good deck, but they are a bit of a glass cannon, meaning they'll either win quick or lose quick. Anyway, guys, as always, I'd like to thank you all for watching DVNC Shadow Prophecy, and we'll see you next time.